Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the late start, but we'll get going, and um, I'm fast, so don't worry, you won't be here the whole day. So let's officially get started. Good morning. This public hearing of the Committee on Ways and Means is hereby called to order. Welcome to this hearing today. For the record, the committee's jurisdiction, as provided in the rules of the Senate, cover all matters relating to revenue, generally taxes and fees, tariffs, loans, and other sources and forms of revenue. Included in our agenda today are the organizational meeting, the briefing of the DOF, the BIR, and the BOC. So I will not make any long introductory statement. I'd like to give the floor right away to our resource persons. Just some reminders in all my hearings, because this is going to be the beginning of many hearings to come. I like to have free-flowing discussions. I know your work is fairly technical, but I still prefer that you don't read. If you submit a position paper to me, don't read it to me because I can read it on my own. I prefer that you just highlight the point. So you don't, of course, it's the first meeting, so I appreciate the heads being here. But in the future, kindly work closely with my team because you may not have to be here all the time. If I don't need you, I won't bother you with your precious time, but if I need you, I would like you to be here. And as we are going through our hearing, you can stand up, you can walk. If you need to take a call, I don't mind. I'm not strict about those things. I know you have a life, you have work. Sitting is the new smoking, so I want you to stand up and stretch your legs kung mahabang hearing. Today is not mahaba because we have our budget also today, and I understand you have something later. That's no problem with me. We'll get going. And let's practice sustainability. You're welcome to bring your own baon. But I will also serve you food and snacks. I just don't want us to use disposable items as much as possible. Okay, so let's get started. The first, I will hear from DOF, Yusek Carlo Adriano, and then after that BIR, and then after that Bureau of Customs. Thank you. Let's proceed.
Good morning, Senator Pia. Good morning, everyone. So I will be presenting the following. Next slide, please. So the outline of the presentation is as follows. First, the actual revenue versus the target revenues.
Okay.
Second, breakdown of actual revenues. Third, tax leakages. Fourth, performance
I just want to
of...
recognize our Chairman of the Committee on Finance, former Chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means, Senator Sherwin. Obviously, this is so important to him dahil wala siyang pang budget kung hindi maayos ang mga collection nyo. So he really made time to be here with us. And I know you're also busy, so Chairman, just feel free to interject. As long as I just have one or two other senators here, it can be more free-flowing. Pag marami na, then I have to moderate a little bit more. But by all means, okay, sige, sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
Good morning, Senwin. Fourth, performance of past tax reforms. Fifth, mechanisms to stop leakages and status of cases filed by BIR and BOC, which will be presented by BIR and BOC respectively. Sixth, the priority measures of the current admin, and then other relevant matters. Next slide. So first one is the actual revenues versus target revenues. Next slide. So we have here 2018 to 2020, what is programmed in the budget expenditure and sources and financing, and the actual. And then you have there the highlighted with the red rectangle is the attainment rate. So if it's more than 100%, that means we have actually achieved our goal. So for 2018 and 2020, we achieved our goal, actually more than the goal. For 2019, slight shortage, yes, 99.6%. Next slide is for 2021 to 2023. So again, in terms of total revenue, we have actually achieved our goal, more than 100%. Then the following slide is for 2024. And then for 2025, it's January to September. For 2024, again, we have achieved our goal, 103.5%. For 2025, our attainment rate is almost 75%, but again, we still have October to December collections. Next slide will be the breakdown of actual revenues. Next slide. So here is basically the actual revenue collection from BIR and BOC and by type of tax from 2018 to 2024. As you can see, it was growing from 2018 to 2019 for BIR and BOC, but went down during the pandemic. We recovered around 2022, and then that increasing trend in revenues continued until 2024. And then as of September 2025, total BR collection is at 2.3 trillion, while BOC collection is at 702 billion as of September. Next slide. The next slide shows just the growth rates. As you can see, so again, as I mentioned, there was a downturn in revenues during the pandemic, but it has been growing since. For 2022 to 2024, the average growth rate of the BIR is 11.2%. For BOC, from 2022 to 2024, the average is at 13.4%. Now, for January to September, BIR's growth rate is at 11%, and BOC is at 1.6%. Next slide. This is basically the buoyancy. We call it tax buoyancy, particularly for BIR. It just measures how much growth. Basically, it's the growth rate of the BIR divided by nominal GDP. So if it's more than 1, that means the BIR collection is growing faster than the nominal GDP growth. For 2022 to 2024, the average tax buoyancy of BIR is 1.1%. 1.1. Next slide. For tax leakages, we have actually one study from World Bank in 2018, and we have an IMF report in 2023 in terms of tax expenditure. Next slide. So for the World Bank, there was a study done by World Bank for the PIT, for the personal income tax gap. And this was done in 2018. In 2018, actual revenue for PIT was at 364 billion, but according to the World Bank, their estimate for the potential revenue for PIT was at 780 billion. And hence, there is a tax gap of around 416 billion in 2018. This is only for personal income tax. The next slide is for the VAT gap, also done by World Bank in 2018. So we have here the actual revenue in 2018 at 768 billion, and they estimated that the full potential VAT collection was at 1.8 trillion. And hence, there is this gap, administrative gap of 546 billion, and a policy gap of around 539 billion. So what is the difference between administrative gap and policy gap? So yung mga policy gap po, these are the exemptions. So if we provided exemption, nandyan po yun sa policy gap. Yung admin gap po, ito yung some inefficiencies in the administration, but it is also a result of the policy gap. Because if we provide so many exemptions, it makes tax administration harder to do, and hence, more admin gap as well. So yun po yung sa World Bank. Now, we would like to note that the DOF has already requested IMF and World Bank to conduct another studies in the gaps. For instance, for IMF, we have requested the VAT gap and the corporate income tax gap. For World Bank, we are requesting the PIT gap and the excise tax gap. Next slide. So, performance of past reforms. So we have listed here the past reforms. So we have the CTRP, Comprehensive Tax Reform Program during the previous administration, which consists of the CREATE, TRAIN, and some of the sin tax laws. The estate tax amnesty, the POGO taxation, and then for this administration, we have the Ease of Paying Taxes Act, the Real Property Valuation Act, the Real Property Valuation Assessment Reform Act, the CIMEPA or the Capital Market Efficiency Promotion Act, the VAT on non-resident DSPs, or digital service providers, create more, and the mining fiscal regime. Next slide. So these are the incremental revenue for the CTRP during the previous administration. This is actual collections. So as you can see, on average, it's around 170 billion from 2018 to 2024. And you have the disaggregation there. As you can see, yung CREATE, it's negative because in CREATE, we reduce the corporate income tax from 30% to 20 and 25, and we provided incentives there, so kaya po siya negative dun sa CREATE. But yung negative po sa CREATE, na-offset naman po siya nung positive revenues from Train 1A, 1B, and P2 Plus. Next slide. This is basically a comparison of the program revenues for the CTRP and the actual revenues. As you can see, from 2018 to 2020, yung actual revenues from CTRP is short from what was projected during that time. As you can see, in 2018, the actual revenue collection was short by 65.4 billion, and in 2020, it's 50.8 billion short. Next slide. But for 2021 and 2022, as you can see here, mas mataas na po yung actual collection than what was actually estimated. Bumawi na po siya. So it's positive, 97.8 in 2021 and 99.4 billion in 2022. And then the next slide are the reforms during this administration, the incremental revenue. So we have there the VAT on non-resident digital service providers, the Create More, the CIMEPA, and the mining fiscal regime. From 2026 to 2030, it's an average of around 33.4 billion annually. Next slide. So I think for the mechanism to stop leakages will be discussed by BIR and BOC later. So I will now go to the priority measures of the DOF and this administration. Next slide. So, next slide. So the first one, next slide, is the excise tax on single-use plastics. Next slide. So we would like to discuss first why are we proposing this proposal, the excise tax on single-use plastic, because number one, we have a problem with waste management, particularly plastics. The figure on your left shows the rivers that contribute the most to ocean plastic pollution. So there are 10 there, and 6 out of 10 rivers come from the Philippines. And the figure on your right shows the share of global plastic waste emitted to the ocean in 2019. And as you can see, Philippines, number 1 by a big margin. Hence, we really have a plastic waste management problem. Next slide. So this figure basically provides the same story. We are a social economy and ranks first in the top 10 countries with the highest annual plastic emission. Next slide. Now, what I showed earlier, yung rivers that contribute the most to ocean plastic was in 20-something. Now, this one is from the Climate Change Commission. It's 7 out of 10 na. From 6 out of 10, this one found it's 7 out of 10. Next slide. Now, problem number 2, poor waste management contributing to intense flooding has led to significant economic costs in the Philippines. We all know the impact of all of these disasters and all of this flooding. And in 2009, it is estimated only for Typhoon Ondoy, it estimated that the economic damages is equivalent to almost 3% of our GDP during that time in 2009. Next slide. Now, this slide just shows you the trend in terms of rainfall, and it's increasing over time. And next slide, we all know that the marginalized sector is the most negatively impact, will the marginalized sector is the most vulnerable and will have disproportionately harmed by the impacts of climate change. Next slide. Now, problem number 3 is that with the proliferation of e-commerce, particularly during the pandemic, the demand of single-use plastic intensified. Particularly, ito po yung mga packaging system, even the Grab food and everything, mas madali na po mag-access ng mga pagkain at kung ano po with e-commerce. And problem number 4 is the fragmented policies on the issue of single-use plastic. Several LGUs implement a ban. Several other LGUs implement some sort of a tax or a fee. But in terms of the national policy, we do not have one yet. And next slide, to address this issue, we are proposing the excise tax on single-use plastic, which will be the national policy of the government, with regards to single-use plastics. Next slide. So I will not discuss this because this is just a background. Next slide. So again, we are proposing an excise tax on single-use plastic. Next slide. So this is just a timeline of the proposed excise tax on single-use plastics. So the DOF actually proposed it in 2022, an excise tax rate of 100 pesos per kilogram, and it only covers single-use plastic bags. Now the DOF is proposing a 150 pesos per kilogram rate, and we are considering to expand the coverage. So meaning we will cover other types of single-use plastics. Before, we were only covering single-use plastic bags. Ito po yung Labo and Sando bags lang.
When you say you're considering expanding it, that would include like sachets. Ganon. I mean, those are the consideration.
Yes.
Those similar to that.
Yes, Sen. We are
Kasi
actually...
when you look at the pictures, honestly, it's full of sachets. The rivers, the clogging, so a lot of it is sachets.
Yes, and Pin. So we are coordinating closely with DNR in terms of the coverage. Kasi sila po talaga yung may expertise on this. What should be considered as a single-use plastic and in terms of what is our target. So we're closely coordinating with them. We will have several public consultations soon, this November and December, for that one as well.
But I'll correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is more of an environmental waste management issue than a revenue generating issue. Tama naman, di ba? So that's why you said you'll be coordinating closely with them. Okay.
Yes, and Pin. So, yes, and Pia. So, sorry. So, Pia. So, it's an environmental policy first than a revenue policy. So, revenue is side win, kumbaga. So, ito po yung definition and coverage, but this is subject to change. We're still consulting with the DNR. And the proposal again is, for now, is 150 pesos per kilogram with an adjustment of, with an indexation rate of every 3 years or maybe annually. So we're still finalizing the proposal. Next slide. These are just some of the filed bill with regards to single-use plastic, both in-house and Senate. There are already existing po na proposals. Next slide. These are just the incremental revenues. So the difference between 100 and 150. So take note that the incremental revenues here only considered single-use plastic bags. We do not have data yet on the consumption of the other plastic, but once we get those data, we will include it in the potential, in the projection of the incremental revenues. Next slide. This will be the potential impact of that excise tax on single-use plastic in terms of price and volume. So in terms of price will probably increase by more or less 100%. and that would result in a decrease in demand of around 37%, given the 150 pesos per kilogram proposal. The next slide, I will not discuss this, but these are some of the existing challenges that I've already mentioned. And the next reform that we're looking at is what we call the domestic top-up tax. This is in relation to the globe rules of the OECD, particularly Pillar 2. So what is this? So what is the issue that we're trying to solve with this proposal? The issue that we're trying to solve here is the taxation of large multinational enterprises. So dun po sa Pillar 2, yung globe rule na sinasabi po, meron po sila doon na proposal to have a global minimum tax for MNEs of 15%. So ibig sabihin po nito, kung yung MNE or multinational enterprises has revenue exceeding 750 million for at least 2 of the past 4 years, you are in scope. You're subject to that 15% global minimum tax. Now, why is this relevant for us? Next slide. Because there are some multinational enterprises that are operating here and are paying less than 15%. So kunwari po, ako po ay MNE operating here and my effective tax rate burden is only 10%, so kulang ko ng 5 kasi 15 po yung minimum. I have to pay the 5%. Now, the question now is, where am I going to pay the 5%? If we have a domestic legislation for the top-up tax, they will pay here. If we do not have the legislation, they will pay that balance in another jurisdiction. So take note po na their tax burden is less than 15% because most probably we're providing them incentives, given that corporate income tax for large taxpayers is 25% na po. So mas mababa lang yung tax burden mo if you are enjoying incentives. So given that they will pay the 15%, they might as well pay here than pay in another jurisdiction. Yun po yung issue that we want to solve in this. Next slide. Now, based on a study made by ADB na nirequest po ng DOF, ang MNEs po na nag-ooperate dito sa Pilipinas are mostly coming from Japan, US, and then UK. 32% actually is Japanese firms, and then 23% US firms. Next slide. So, these are the incremental revenues. Assuming it was implemented in 2021, the projected revenues is basically almost 50 billion. So again po, if we do not have the legislation, itong 50 billion po na to will be paid in another jurisdiction. So we need a domestic legislation so that we can collect that what we call top-up tax. Based on our consultation po, the MNEs would actually prefer to pay here rather than in another jurisdiction kasi they're already operating here anyway. So it's easier for them to coordinate with our own revenue authorities than paying in another jurisdiction. Yes po, we have a draft bill and it will be subject to public consultation by this November and December. Next slide. The next slide is the estate tax amnesty, which is actually not new. We just want to extend the estate tax amnesty. Next slide.
May nag-avail ba?
Yes po. Meron pa po. Bakit? Opo. So, we would like to extend it.
Natapos na yung term ko, natapos na yung term niya. Tapos, extend na naman.
We would like to extend it until June 30, 2028. I think that's the last slide of my presentation.
That's it? Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Nepomuceno, you have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. If I may, ma'am, for the purpose of presentation, I'll ask Deputy Commissioner Attorney Arnel Alambra of the Revenue Collection Monitoring Group to handle the presentation.
Attorney Ariel
Arnel Alambra, ma'am.
Arnel Alambra.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have the floor.
Good morning po, Senator. Yeah, good morning po, Senator Will. Yeah, I am Attorney Arnel Alambra, the Deputy Commissioner for RCMD of the BOC. Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah, in this table, you can see the collection performance, the Bureau, for the last 5 years, from 2020 to 2024. Okay. Except for 2024, BOC is consistently exceeding its target attributable to continuous monitoring or correct valuation and classification, enhanced digitalization, and various anti-smuggling activities. Okay, next slide. Okay. For calendar year 2020, BOC posted a total collection of 537.687 billion, exceeding its target of 506.150 billion by 6.23%. For calendar year 2021, BOC posted a total collection of 643.563 billion, exceeding its target by 4.35%. The original target is 616.749 billion. For calendar year 2022, the BOC posted a total collection of 862.419 billion, exceeding the 721 billion target by 19.57%. For calendar year 2023, BOC posted a total collection of 883.213 billion, exceeding its target by 1.03%. For calendar year 2024, however, in this year, 2024, BOC posted a total collection of 916.674 billion, lower by 2.45% of its target of 939.694 billion. Okay. The shortfall in the revenue collection in fiscal year 2024 was due to lower volume of oil imports and lower average tariff rate of non-oil imports as a result of the passage of Executive Order number 62, which reduced the tariff on rice from 35% to 15%, zeroing of tariff of specific HS codes of motor vehicles from its previous rate of 30%, and extending the lower tariff on meat products under EO 50, and foregone on jet fuel importation under Customs Bonded Warehouse, which was implemented in May 2024. Next slide, please. For January to September 2025, BOC posted a total collection of 701.671 billion, with an efficiency rating of 98.5%. The lower collection is due to lower import volume, volatility of oil prices, and lower tariff rates as a result of reduced tariff rate on rice and zeroing selected tariff on motor vehicles. Next slide, please. This table shows our collection for VAT and excise taxes. VAT, which consists of 61% of total collection, grew by 71% from 2020 to 2024. For the period January to September 2025, VAT grew by 4.6% versus the same period in 2024. Ito po yung last two bars on the right. Collection from excise taxes comprises 25%, which grew by 77% for the last 5 years. That's from 2020 to 2024. In January to September 2025, year-on-year growth is 3.9%. Duties comprises 12% of the total collection, which grew by 74% from 2020 to 2024. January to September 2025, year-on-year collection declined by 15.9%. It is affected by lower average tariff rate to 6% due to the impact of lower tariff rate on rice and meat products, zero rate on selected tariff of electric and hybrid vehicles, and implementation of various free trade agreements. Next slide, please. Okay. The BOC have identified the following leakages and key issues affecting customs revenue and enforcement. Number one, illicit trade in excisable products. The illegal distribution of goods subject of excise taxes such as alcohol, petroleum, tobacco, and vapor products undermines legitimate commerce and reduces government revenues. Number two, revenue losses from de minimis abuse. Improper classification and undervaluation of imported goods to qualify under the de minimis threshold result in significant revenue leakage and unfair market competition. Number three, misclassification and misdeclaration of value. Importers may deliberately misclarify goods and understate their value to reduce tax liabilities. The implementation of the Enhanced Value Reference Information System, or EVRIS, is a critical measure to detect and prevent such practices. Number four, inefficient customs procedures. Bureaucratic inefficiencies and corruption within customs operations can cause delays, so to say. Increased transaction costs and create loopholes that facilitate tax evasion. And number five is smuggling. This is unauthorized importation of goods, bypasses customs controls entirely, evading duties and taxes, and posing risks to public safety and national security. We would like us to note that based on the study of the government in 2016, tax leakages from oil smuggling was estimated at 26.87 billion. Okay. These are our performance of past tax reforms. Next slide, please. Okay. For the revenue impact of BIR revenue regulation numbers 009-2025 and 010-2025 on reduced corporate income tax rates and VAT procedures under the Create More Act, affected ports have reported an estimated revenue loss of 3.2 billion pesos due to the shift in the collection of local taxes from the BOC to the BIR, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, in 2024. Next slide, please. As of September 30, 2025, the BOC successfully conducted 60 seizure operations against smuggled agricultural products with approximate worth of over 473 million pesos. These operations highlight the agency's commitment to protecting local farmers, ensuring fair competition, and securing the nation's food supply in line with RA number 10845, or the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act of 2016, and RA 12022, the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Act, which classified large-scale agricultural smuggling as economic sabotage. Next slide, please. Rice Tarification Law.
What are you gonna say more about that? What was the impact of that? The law, the anti-agriculture economic sabotage. May nahuli na ba dyan? May nakasuhan na ba dyan?
Yeah, we have the BOC actually has some seizures po, Senator Pia, and I'll go to that later. Pero
will,
on the
okay.
slide for the
Okay.
case file po.
Okay.
On rice tarification law, the BOC regularly submits a quarterly report to the Department of Budget and Management, copy furnished the Bureau of the Treasury, Department of Finance, Department of Agriculture on the collection under rice tarification law. The table shows the volume and collection from rice imports for the period of March 2019 to September 2025 under rice tarification law. For January to September 2025, that was the one highlighted in green, the tariff revenue from rice importation is 13.372 billion, rounded off to the nearest billion. From March 2019 to 2025, September, the total tariff revenue from rice importation is 146.878 billion pesos. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. For Executive Order number 62, with respect to the rate of rice, revenue loss from July to December 2024 due to the implementation of EO 62, which reduces the tariff rate of rice from 35% to 15%, was 15.348 billion and 14.103 billion for January to June 2025. Please note that the date of effectivity of EO 62 for rice is July 2024. Next page. Yeah. Executive Order number 62 for motor vehicles. Revenue loss for July to December 2024 due to the implementation of EO 62, reduces the tariff rate of motor vehicles importations. Selected HS codes under tariff heading 8702, 8703, 8704, 8711 to 0%. It was 7.610 billion pesos. And for January to June 2025, the revenue loss is 10.624 billion.
Sorry, can you educate me? What kind of motor vehicles were subject to this reduction or removal of tax? Do you know? I'm just curious.
Hybrids. Normally, it's the
Hybrid,
hybrids,
okay, I was gonna say,
hybrids
okay.
and electric
Okay,
vehicles.
so but there's a positive side because it's the hybrid cars naman.
Yes po.
Okay. All
But
right.
for the revenue side, we're suffering
So,
from that.
Sige, maybe we can ask, maybe DOF? Did DOF do some calculations on what is the value of the transition to more hybrid cars in terms of cleaner air and all that? Usually have these numbers, di ba? Anyway, if not between you and is it DepDev who should show us the numbers, di ba? Because there's always going to be this complaint. Like I won't be surprised if later on, if you don't meet your targets, you're going to point to this and to change tayo ng policy. But then there's a lot of positive that comes out of it, right? That's precisely why you have the DO.
San Pia, we do not have that cost-benefit analysis.
But madali naman
Yes.
na magkaroon tayo, di ba?
Yes.
Sige, let's do it, ha?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Permission to proceed, Your Honor. Okay. Next page, please. Now, this refers to Executive Order number 93. The estimated revenue loss on rice imports due to the 60-day suspension provided under EO 93 amounted to 4.042 billion based on 2024 actual figures and 3.4 billion pesos based on current market price. This impact covers a period from September to October 2025. Okay. Next page. This is about fuel marking. Based on the data of the BOC, volume of gasoline, diesel, and kerosene products increased by 77%, while duties and taxes collected increased by 179% since the implementation of the fuel marking program in September 2029 to the present time. Compare this to the date in 2018 prior to its implementation. Declared fuel has continued to increase up to the current period. Okay. Following are the slides on the mechanisms implemented with the BOC to stop tax leakages. Next page, please. Okay. On pre-arrival stage, to ensure the success of its seashore operations against illicit trade of smuggled goods, the BOC remains steadfast in implementing a multi-pronged approach, which includes the following. Okay. Accreditation of importers and customs brokers with the Bureau. Number 2, inspection of offices and warehouses of importers and customs brokers who wish to be accredited by the BOC. Those found non-existent were immediately denied or disapproved of their accreditation. Number 3, advanced profiling of incoming shipments through the cargo targeting system and the risk-based screening. 4, advanced monitoring of incoming vessels through the utilization of Indo-Pacific Regional Information Sharing and the Dark Vessel Detection System of Canada under the National Coast Watch Center. And number 5, advanced profiling of importers and exporters to the National Customs Enforcement Network. And lastly, continuous calibration of selectivity parameters or processes to adapt the needs of trade facilitation and border control. Next page, please. Upon arrival of the shipment, we have the following measures. 1, profiling of shipments through risk management system, whereby large import entry for a particular shipment will undergo selective process. This system initially determines which shipment will be subjected to examination, either intrusive or non-intrusive, or documentary check, or it can be released immediately. Okay. Number 2,
Of shipments nga are subjected to this kind. I'm just curious. Like, what do you consider? Which ones do you consider? Ayan, kailangan tingnan natin. Like, is it because it's a safety hazard? Is it because it's a high value?
yeah, when the shipments po, when the container will go through an X-ray, it can be identified if the contents of the are questionable. So from there, it can be rated the red.
That's my question. What is questionable? Is it questionable because they don't align with the declaration, or it's questionable because these are high-value items? I'm just curious, what is it that triggers your further scrutiny?
Ma'am, if I
Yeah, please.
may help my colleague. There are several factors that we look into to establish the risks that go with the importations. One, of course, will be the origin of the shipments. If the origin, like traditionally, for example, in China, that will be of a higher risk, and before also when it comes to drugs, Cambodia, Vietnam, but recently also from the US, things like that. So the origin of the importations will be main factor, and then the historical data on who the importers are will be profiled, and then although later on I will help with the discussions on using digitalization and how we can use AI in determining instantly the profile and the risks involved in the importations, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Permission to continue po, ma'am. Number 2, immediate issuances of pre-lodgement control order, alert order, and hold order against shipments with derogatory information relative to smuggling. 3, utilization of body-worn cameras by BOC frontliners to ensure transparency in the conduct of customs examination. 4, immediate cancellation of BOC accreditation of importers and customs brokers for forfeited shipment found to contain smuggled goods. And 5th, immediate filing of corresponding administrative and criminal cases against importers and customs brokers found violating anti-smuggling laws. Okay. Next page, please. Okay. After the release, we have the following measures. Okay. Lawful exercise of visitorial power through the issuance of the letters of authority against imported goods openly for sale or kept in storage, warehouses, or establishments with derogatory information for selling or storing smuggled goods. 2, periodical inspection through security, survey, and inspection of all accredited condemnation facilities to ensure compliance with minimum BOC requirements for said facilities. And 3, use of electronic tracking of containerized cargo, or the e-track system, to trace shipments destined for free-port zones to avoid illegal diversions. Okay. Next page. Okay.
That, no? Let's discuss a particular issue. Yung sa kotse ni La Discaya, ano yung kwento doon? Like, I know you're taking actions now. I've read the papers. But how does this happen? Pumasok ba yan sa free-port zone? Hindi na-detect ang pagpasok? Kasi syempre, mainit sa mata yung luxury car. Laki-laki pa. So, how does that even happen?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there were 3 ways or methods on how the 30 cars that we were able to.
Yes. Record whether it's just Discaya or some other.
Yes, ma'am.
Other hoodlum out there, no?
That's right.
There's more out there, for sure.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we're looking
So
into
we're using that example because that's what's in the news.
Yes, ma'am. We're looking into the 15 listed contractors that are allegedly involved in the the ghost projects, the infra projects. So there were, until today, but there were 3 ways that were used by the importers for these cars. But we categorize those 3 ways. One, those that came in with a tampering of the import entry system, meaning yung pinaka parang birth certificate ng kotse, ma'am. So, nawala yun, with no import entry and then no certificate of payment. That's one category. Number 2,
Stand
Yes,
it,
ma'am.
no, and have a relevant discussion and, if necessary, legislation. Can you repeat that phrase? Exactly what you just
yes,
said.
ma'am. The first category would be those that entered without an import entry,
Okay.
and then at the same time, there's no certificate of payment.
Okay. So when you say they don't have an import entry, so as of now, you cannot trace kung paano pumasok yon. Is that what you mean? Kasi hindi mo nabigyan ng, wala silang
Yes, ma'am.
proof na pumasok ng maayos. Import
ma'am.
entry, I'm just taking
Ma'am,
it from its logical
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What does that
Mag-example
mean?
ako, ma'am, para mas
Sige,
maintindihan.
sige.
For example, one case, hindi lang yan, ma'am, to rewind.
Oo, yeah.
Yung Bugatti, for example,
Okay.
before. Ang sasakyan, literally, we suspected pumasok, for example, sa Batangas port.
Okay.
And then the import entry doon naka-lodge yan through,
Okay.
of course, through the IT system. Although later on, mabubura yan. That's the modus that we found out.
Ah,
And then the certificate of payment, supposed to be, if it's Batangas, dapat doon din literally yung form.
okay, okay.
But the form was purchased from the port of Davao. So may scheme talaga, ma'am. And but anyway, I'll digress a bit. Sinolve na namin yun, ma'am. No? But just for the
But
understanding.
why would they want the certificate of payment to be in another place? Kasi ibababaan doon.
No, ma'am. Para mahirap matrace kung iimbestigahan yun,
Ah,
ma'am.
ganon?
Of course. So, and then yung x-ray din yan, ang makitang image was Raptor for that Bugatti, meaning parang pick up yun, pero yung laman iba. So it's an elaborate method of cheating the government. And then your certificate of payment,
Image na galing sa machine ninyo o na pinoproduce nila?
well,
Paano nagbago yung image?
tampered yun, ma'am. Ano? But if talaga na x-ray yan, dapat lalabas yung
Maayos.
totoo. Yes, ma'am. So tampered yung image para yun ang magiging basis ng valuation. So you'll pay less.
Okay, so in this case that you're using as an example,
Yes, ma'am.
then that means there would be customs employees and officials in the Port of Batangas and the Port of Davao that
Yes, ma'am.
connived with the importer.
Yes, ma'am. In the case of the Diskaya cars, ma'am, ports of Cebu, Davao, Batangas, MICP, POM. So marami po
Ganun
yan.
karami?
30 cars po yun, ma'am.
But is
But
it just one importer or a couple of importers
iba-iba
also?
po, ma'am. We already have the complete report and we submitted already
And
the
obviously, they're
report.
not their only clients, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you can
Ah.
get a warrant to also look at their list of clients.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
That's what we're doing right now. We submitted the official report already to the ICI.
Okay.
And then we're already also doing our best to go after the other listed, the contractors that are listed
Kasi
in the
these luxury
15
cars are an interesting case because they're huge, di ba?
Yes,
Ilan
ma'am.
kotse ang kasya sa isang 40-footer? Ilan lang?
Isa
Apat?
or dalawa lang, ma'am,
Dalawa lang.
usually.
Diba?
Pero yung pag maliliit,
As
nagiging
opposed
tatlo pa
to,
yun.
I don't know, maybe jewelry, ang dami nun, di ba? Baka hindi mo mapuno yung isang container van sa jewelry or I don't know, some other, I don't know what luxury things people buy.
Yes, ma'am. But just
but wow.
to note, mama, we already immediately implemented measures to end this, and we've already also have a formal agreement with the new LTO chief that kasi it takes two to tango for these
Yeah,
two
that's why
agencies.
we invited the OTR, but I don't know if Mr. Arca, but later on, ano, for
Yes,
just a more organized discussion.
And then in this case, ma'am, meron sanang
Si LTO para pag-register nila.
yes, ma'am, kasi
Oo.
kung perfected
Pero parang napansin ko, nakaparada lang dun sa malalaking garahe nila eh. Happy na yata silang nakadisplay lang dun eh.
turn over naman po sa amin, ma'am.
No, I
So
mean in general, ano ba ginagawa ng mga collector? Nakadisplay lang, so baka hindi nila kailangan ng plaka. Hindi ko alam. Ilalabas ba nila yung mga kotse nila?
yung sa LTO side, ma'am, I'm not sure, but sa BOC side, ma'am, we're already pursuing the
Maybe
immediate
Senator Sherwin knows. I don't know anything about cars, so do they just like to look at it, you know?
ay mga ano.
No, I'm just commenting on, I'm happy
Yes,
that
ma'am.
nagko-coordinate ka sa LTO. Pero malay ko ba kung hindi na gumagamit ng plaka yun, tapos yung iba, yung ano nila, yung property nila, baka doon na lang nila, laki ng property nila, doon na lang nila pinapaikot.
Mga ganun po.
Eh sabi
Marami
nung
po,
isa, binili daw niya yung kotse niya dahil daw sa payong.
nandun pa yung
Hindi
payong
na,
naman,
Hindi na
ma'am.
kailangan ng plaka, kung payong lang pala yung habol doon.
Nandun pa ho yung payong, ma'am, when we apprehended. Sa Rolls Royce po yun. So, ma'am, yun nga po, supposed to be meron sanang tulong ang BIR doon na maganda yung one of the checks and balances that was in place pero na-override din yan. Meron sanang authority to release imported goods which is required for these vehicles that before ito ma-process talaga, a trig, the authority to release imported goods, dapat makuha sa BIR. But from the BOC side, nung hindi pa nakuha at trig, dapat yung mechanism na sana yun, ano? So from the BOC side, inallow yung continuation ng procedure ng processing even without that rig. So dapat sana at rig kasi mahigpit ang BIR. Lumalabas kasi sa BIR yung tamang value na dapat bayaran sa excise tax. So yun yung magiging computation. So kung mataas yun, hindi yun magiging consistent with the one doing the magic in the tampering of the computation. So in-override yun. So immediately what we did, you can no longer process the importation, hindi lang ng mga sasakyan, ma'am, ano? But if an atrig is required, if there's no atrig, we already issued the memo that the process of valuation and then, of course, the payment should not be done by BOC. So, pinagbawalan namin immediately yun, ma'am. To recognize the value supposed to be of the BIR's atrig being a requirement of the process. So, pinatigil na namin yun, ma'am. And then the second method, maraming details po talaga yun, ma'am, no? But offhand, isa yun. Then meron naman merong import entry pero wala naman certificate of payment. And then lastly, dun sa Diskaya cars, ma'am, out of the 30, meron naman silang 17 cars na nagbayad naman dun sa bumili sila from the regular or respected car distributors that are members of CAMPI and AVIL. But according to ICI, we also could not release these cars to them because BIR will look into the other aspect po, baka kasi galing, of course, ito. Presumably, the assumption is, if this is from, of course, ill-gotten, well, hindi mo pwedeng basta i-release. So, hindi namin i-release yung 17 cars, although those were bought from regular dealers. And then, from the BOC side, we will look into that. We will do a post-clearance audit operations or process dun sa mga nag-import naman po nun, ma'am.
Kasi syempre it's in the news, so I wanted to understand. But one last point about that. When these high rollers, you know, allow themselves or ask for interviews, which there were interviews na apparently natanggal na sa internet, so hindi na mahanap ng staff ko. Tapos dinidisplay nila yon. May trigger ba yan sa inyo na tinitingnan nyo rin? Kasi nga, apparently it's an item that is it's common to have issues on the proper payment of duties, di ba? And yeah, natitrigger ba yon na may nagbabantay sa inyo na check nga natin yan?
Yes, ma'am. Although, of course, when we came in this July, we already instructed our intelligence group to institutionalize the monitoring of the social media. Well, of course, siyempre iiwas na yung iba, but we institutionalize the monitoring of the social media of everyone so that that can trigger the investigation on the part of the BOC intelligence group. The answer is yes, ma'am. But and then we enhance that capability already.
Pero like in this case, hindi na monitor yun. In this case of the Diskaya, yung interview na yun na pinakita lahat ng kotse. Kasi ako na-shock ako na, may ganun pala.
When we came in, then na-triggered. Well, our team took over noong July po, ma'am, ano. So this issue.
July lang yung team mo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that interview yata was around the campaign period, mga April, March, no? Mga ganun ba? No? Around that time.
Kami naman, ma'am, of course, nasa news din naman po kasi. Hindi naman kami nauna with that. It's all over the news. So,
Yeah.
of course, we gave the instructions to henceforth. Dapat mas mag-increase yung aming monitoring capability. It will not be good if everyone else would know the issue, then
exactly.
huli kami. So, we enhance already our capability, ma'am, for that.
Okay. Okay. Are you showing something?
Yan.
Is this a video?
Madam Chair,
Yes, go
quickly
ahead.
lang. Narinig ko
While you're
kanina.
speaking, wag muna, kasi madadivert naman
Ah,
yung
sige.
attention.
Ayan
Hindi,
na.
mauna ka.
Sige.
Mauna ka.
Yung narinig ko lang kanina, Commissioner, na merong sindikato sa loob. Parang itong operation is really sindikato. Kumbaga, mga BOC employees rin yung gumagawa. Like for example, sinabi nyo na yung x-ray instead na yung sasakyan, linagay nila
image.
ibang sasakyan. O, parang actually, yan yung pinakita ni Senator Ping na
Kasi kasama sa DPWH yung mga inspection pictures, pero pare-parehong picture yung dinidikit nila, no? Doon sa inspection picture.
So baka ganun din.
Parang it's within. The problem is within.
Yes.
Una na-identify niyo ba itong mga tao? At anong nangyari? Pinaalis na ba? Kinasuhan? Nakulong?
Mr. Senator, yes, we already issued show cause orders to those who are, although of course may due process po, of course we try to follow that. So more than 10 of our personnel have been made to answer our show cause orders. And then nasa investigation na po, internal investigation. And then we submitted all this already to the ICI to break this practice po. But of course, parallel to that, yung nireport po namin nakaraan sa committee po ninyo, there has to be a digital solution to all these things. Kasi pag inaral niyo po talaga, sir, yung nangyari, ang very clear at this point will be to hold accountable the importers. Very clear po yun kasi documented po yun. But when it comes to those who are involved within the BOC, yung mga ilan-ilan na naman po, I have to state that. Marami naman sa BOC gumagawa po ng tama, no? But we already identified those who could be probably involved in what happened, not only with the Discaya cars, but with other similar cases po. So under investigation na po sila. Then some of them we relieve from their posts. Then some of them nandun pa naman. Kasi po, kumbaga, almost perfect crime po. Halimbawa lang po, again, maraming details. Halimbawa lang po, ano. Perfect sana kung yung before you can access your computer sa aming E2M system, meron yan, of course, password anywhere in other offices, gano'n naman po. Pero mas ideal sana, which we don't have yet, ideal sana before you can do a particular transaction, may identity dapat kung sino yung gumagawa ng transaction. Something that's not there at this until at this point. Kaya kailangan nga namin natuto.
You mean the person who's logging in and encoding?
Dapat
it
po
doesn't
meron
show?
po yung
Oo
OTP,
naman.
ma'am.
Yeah, but that's in the programming of that.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Kaya nga po, we reported last time. Maraming details po yung full digitalization. Hindi lang po ng payment system, but in fact, all the processes po sa BOC, that should be part of the huge...
Nabigyan ba ng budget ng chairman namin?
Nag-commit po sa amin naman, ma'am.
Very good, chairman.
Kaya pinaparinigan ko po, ma'am.
Baka kasi nakat ng konti, tapos yung pangalan hindi pa nasama dun sa
Ma'am,
features.
kailangan po talaga ng full digitalization. Otherwise,
Yes,
these
yes,
problems
yes.
will always be recurrent for the next 50 years. Ganyan po. We have to intervene already with full digitalization. Kasi po, for example, in this case again, kasi in this case po, again, kahit identified po na merong nagdoktor po ng import entry, but you really don't know. To be fair dun po sa binigyan namin ng show cause, and I'm not being biased, pero how can we prove na siya talaga at that moment yung gumamit?
Yeah.
Because there's no digital protection that can prove really. And then yung pirmado naman pong import entry, as claimed by the one that we are investigating, na peke yung kanyang pirma. So for the one investigating, that's us, we have to prove na siya yon. Kung talaga namang pinahamak lang siya by somebody else, siyempre yung gagawa ng krimen, hindi naman po niya ipipirma ng totohanan yung pirma niya. Baka kung kanino siya galit, siya ipirma natin. So, again, we are pursuing solutions and institutionalizing solutions, pero modern world na po ngayon, this should really be technology-based solutions po to really once and for all end our problems in the BOC. And as I reported last time, ang magandang balita naman po, this has the full support also of the President. When I took over noong July 1, I asked permission and support, and then he really promised that the full digitalization will be supported by the President po.
We support, of course, kami naman dito sa Senado will support your digitalization. Yun rin yung paniniwala ko, to really stop corruption is to limit or even eliminate human intervention. Pero since kailangan hand-in-hand rin yan with accountability, Commissioner, dahil kung mayroong sindikato sa loob at itong sindikato kumikita rin doon sa mga nag-i-import, papalusutan at papalusutan. So, importante rin na mayroong managot.
Yes, sir.
Dahil kung hindi, ano talaga, mauulit at mauulit lang. So, pa-update na lang yung committee and with this issue of smuggling ng luxury cars, please update the committee from time to time na kung ano na nangyari dito sa investigations niyo.
Yes, Senator Sen. Sir, Madam Chair, if I may kasi, Alisabat, ano ko lang yung, yes, before
The time remaining, please.
my colleague continue with this report. Yung pong, to clarify po yung concern po ni Senator Gatchalian, for my team, ang gusto po namin maging legacy sa aming tenure will be, of course, truly there are almost 1,000 things that we have to do at the same time. Ganun po talaga condition ng customs, ano. But doable naman po. And we have grouped our contribution to the solutions that are needed to finally end our problems in our bureau. Hinati po namin sa tatlo yan. Number one po talaga, of course, yung mga digital solutions. Marami po yun, 7 po yun sa na-identify namin. Hindi lang po yung payment system, that would include using AI in our accreditation, and in our risk management. We have to upgrade our X-ray machines, use smart X-ray machines and CCTVs, etc., etc. For example, in what happened with that, dapat yung aming X-rays or scanning machines, kung ano yung nakikita sa field, simultaneously nakikita dapat yan sa central operation center namin and recorded. So kahit gustuin sa field na baguhin yun, hindi mo na mababago dahil naka-record yan sa central office at nakikita. So things like that, marami po yung details. So number one group of solutions that we have to do are digital solutions, technology-based solutions. Number two, yun nga po, we have to pursue accountability. Aside from transparency, accountability, panagutin po yung mga nagkakamali at nagkamali. Otherwise, paulit-ulit lang po yan. But i-qualify ko lang po yun, no? Doon sa dapat managot, aside from our own personnel, doon sa mga smugglers side, hindi lang dapat kami tumigil doon sa mga tauhan ng smugglers. Because if you'll see the cases around for 2025 alone, parang 150 to 153 cases na yan. But if we will only investigate and prosecute eventually the helpers, drivers, wala pong mangyayari doon. Kaya humingi po na kami ng tulong din, and that was committed to us with the former Secretary of DOJ. Then I had a meeting also again with him nung ombudsman na po siya. Kailangan naman ng tulong with the NBI to dig deeper, to drill down some more, kung sino ba talaga may-ari. Otherwise, kukuha lang po yun ng ibang tauhan. So, paulit-ulit lang yun. So, yes, doon po sa cases, that's what we intend to do, to hold accountable way beyond doon sa mga tauhan lang. And then lastly,
Singit ko lang,
yes,
para lang kung may idadagdag ka dun sa explanation mo, does what you're saying apply to rice smuggling? Because we only have
Yes, ma'am.
time for a few examples, so we go from big luxury cars
Yes, ma'am.
to a daily consumable product that affects every Filipino, especially the farmers. So kasama yan.
Yes, ma'am.
Yung sinabi mo na hanapin yung totoong mga perpetrators and not just
Yes, ma'am.
their helpers.
And then yung pangatlo nga po, ma'am, yes, the answer is yes, Madam Chair. Sa pangatlo kasi, ma'am, will be administrative and operational improvements. Of course, administrative, kasi yung organization namin, yung table of organization, you have to re-engineer that towards a more efficient and effective organization. But aside from yung personnel and reorganization, kailangan din namin din ng operational capabilities. Again, this would require funding. I assure you, pag nandyan mo kami, the procurement process will be transparent and competitive. Halimbawa po, pagdating sa agricultural smuggling of meat products, malaki po presumably ang nawawala dyan. Ano? We can submit the reports of the assumptions being adopted on how to compute ilan yung nawawala, especially sa agri-products. Kailangan namin halimbawa ng capability to inspect yung meat products. Pag tinignan nyo kasi yan, sir, frozen yan eh. Sa naked eye, pare-pare utsura niyan. So, ang nangyayari ngayon na system, yung inspection niyan, dadalhin dun sa warehouse ng importer on guard. Although on guard yon. Kaya lang siyempre, pagdating na doon, teritoryo na yun ng importer, pag may masamang balak yan, vulnerable naman po yung ating tauhan doon. Dalawa, apat sila, things can happen pagdating sa port nila. So the Bureau doesn't have that inspection capability right now. The quick solution should be, at least habang wala kaming capital expense budget for capital outlay, mag-MOOE muna kami, pero wala po sa NEP namin yon. Mag-list muna kami ng cold storage somewhere in Manila or kung saan malapit na port para magkaroon ng deterrent effect yung aming capability that we can actually inspect in our own premises the suspected smuggled meat. Kasi ma'am, ang declaration niya, for example, 5%. Kung hindi po yan prime, but in reality, prime yan. So from 15 to 45% supposed to be babayaran yan. Eh yung value, depressed pa yung value. So X% of a smaller amount instead of a higher percent of a higher amount. But that can only happen if we have that kind of capability which we intend to do. So mga ganun pong operational improvements plus lastly, for example again, gusto nating ipatigil yung oil or petroleum product smuggling. From my recall, on 2024 data, if I'm not wrong, 30 to 34% po yung petroleum product sa ating revenue pie. So that could be higher if we can really curb smuggling or stop smuggling of oil. Eh, wala naman ho kaming sariling sea vessels that can do the job. Meron kami 21 but most of them sira. So but as a short-term solution, I have already talked yesterday with General Browner. He committed that the Philippine Navy will be quote-unquote on call as long as we have actionable intelligence to do the job. And then the Philippine Coast Guard, I've already also talked with the Commandant Gaban. He would help us. On call din po sila sa amin as long as meron kaming actionable intelligence, which can be done again by using technology na pagtutulong-tulungan namin how to, ganito po yan man how to understand kung ano po yung nakikita sa screen. At any given time mo kasi there are more than 2,000 sea vessels in our economic zone. Using our own visual appreciation, hindi po basta-basta makikita po yan. So we have to use, again, technology para makita natin kung sino po yung halimbawa nagdidikit, running at 1 to 3 knots lang, nagdidikit sila. Using AI, mag-alarm na yan. We should have this capability. So pag ready kami with that, Coast Guard will be available, Philippine Navy will be available. So we're committing, magkaroon lang po kami na, but that's subscription. Hopefully, magagawa po namin ang paraan yan. So, yung mga ganun po man. So, again, digitalization, and then establishing accountability, and then lastly, we will have operational and administrative improvements during our term. Kaya naman po yun, Madam Chair. Yes,
Madam Chair, doon sa NEP niyo, merong 1.6 billion for digital ICT requirements.
Yes, sir.
So I think that is geared towards yung sinasabi niyo, Commissioner, no?
Kulang pa ho yun actually.
Kulang pa ba?
Kasi ganito po, doon sa CPS, meaning yung payment system, if we will succeed po sa PPP, yun yung parang last option namin, na in motion na po yan ngayon. To be fair with the former commissioner, minana ko po yung PPP proposal yan, tinutuloy lang po namin. But that's the right solution. Pero pag nag-fail yun, if we cannot negotiate for dapat po kasi meron yung minimum capabilities or features to do the mission na dapat 100% full digitalization yung lodging, assessment, payment, and releasing. Dapat 100%. Not 90%. Magkakaroon po rin yan ng abuse pag gano'n. So pag nag-fail po yun, kung hindi namin makukuha yung aming minimum capabilities or features, we need roughly 5 billion to do that. Wala po sa NEP po yun. But that's based on the market study po. We will try to, of course, again, lower that down. If we will acquire, but we will do our best na maging PPP. Maganda naman po yung proposal of fund. Maganda naman po. They will only charge 350 pesos per transaction. Regardless kung isang container, 100 containers, 350 pesos is negligible na po. But that's not the point. Ang kailangan po, can that do the job? So the technical specification should be there to be able to really provide a 100% fully automated payment processing system po for the Bureau para ho maiwasan na po yung human intervention po.
We'll excuse you, Commissioner,
ma'am.
no? But si Attorney, you can stay? Are you,
Yes, ma'am.
para lang yung continuity ng discussion, it's okay for him to stay?
Yes, ma'am. And
Sige.
Assistant Commissioner Maranilla.
Okay, sige.
Mas
Thank
magaling naman po sa akin yan, ma'am.
Sige.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll have continuous discussions after this naman. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you po.
Sige. Ituloy mo, Attorney, yung yung presentation mo para after that we can go to BIR also.
Thank you po, Senator Piano. Taking note of what the Commissioner has said, we also have continuing efforts in our fight against collection, for collection and to fight against tax evasion in the Bureau of Customs. Next page, this will be this continuing effort. Okay. These are the continuing effort that we do. Okay. One is active collaboration with all concerned law enforcement agencies in the implementation and enforcement of laws pertaining to all kinds of smuggling. Two, continuous acquisition of X-ray, yung po sinasabi kanina ni Commissioner, to enhance detection capabilities to the use of non-intrusive examinations. Three, intelligence network that aims to enhance operational capabilities by providing members with timely and accurate intelligence support through its extensive network and database, thereby strengthening the effectiveness of intelligence and enforcement operations. And seven, conduct an interagency intelligence summit that aims to strengthen the collaboration of the BOC with the intelligence community and other law enforcement units. Okay. Next page, please. This is our new effort that we have already started. The issuance of the CMO 01-2025 on the creation of an ad interim service cyber intelligence section. Further strengthen the mandate of IG to regularly and consistently gather intelligence information, including customs fraud and other illegal trading acts that may be perpetrated through digital means. Okay. Next slide. The fuel marking program. Under the fuel marking program po, gasoline, diesel, and kerosene products are marked with a molecular marker to evidence payment of duties and taxes. Fuels are then randomly tested at the tail stations or vessels to determine whether the fuel contains the required marker. If fuel is found unmarked or diluted, it is an indication that the product may have been smuggled or illegally distributed, leading to enforcement actions, such as seizures and imposition of penalties. Now, as of September 30, 2025, 107.72 billion liters of fuel were marked, which is equivalent to 1.22 trillion pesos duties and taxes collected since its implementation on September 4, 2019. For 2025 alone, 15.83 billion liters have been marked, equivalent to 185 billion 0.28 taxes collected. Okay. Next page. Yeah. Senator, or Honor, ito po yung one cases filed, the table cases filed that we filed with the DOJ by the BOC, no? For the period of January to September 30, 2025, the BOC has filed 58 criminal cases with the DOJ against a total of 157 individuals or importers, covering valued goods at 2.23 billion, with taxes and duties amounting to 2.58 billion. These cases include apprehended illegal drugs with an estimated street value of 340 million plus, unmarked fuel valued at 9,796,491, and agricultural products such as frozen mackerel, frozen round scad, onion, and cigarettes valued at 2,191,393,584.51. The duties and taxes here is higher than dutiable value because the computed duties and taxes includes excise tax. On the seas,
Siguro,
14,000.
siguro no need naman to go through each one, no? We'll study it on our own. Often, I'm just gonna ask you a few quick questions now, just looking at it. So obviously, sa agricultural smuggling, you have 32 cases involving 121, so that's a lot. Maybe you can just break it down for me later, kasi in the interest of time, let's not go deep dive into each one.
Yes.
Are there a few, like a handful of really big ones and then spread out dun sa ibang 100 plus yung iba? And then, dun sa illegal drugs, I'm interested in more details in that only because I used to chair the Committee on Health and alam kong itong mga fake drugs, medyo rampant din yan. And in as much as we want to increase the availability, no, of reasonably priced medicines from abroad, kailangan maingat din tayo. Sorry, do you mean illegal drugs as in fake pharmaceutical products or as in cocaine and the like?
Illegal drugs like cocaine, marijuana.
So medicine pala.
Yes po.
Medicine yung isa. And then you only have one case. Okay. And then yung motor vehicle, ano yung one na yan? Yan ba yung kay Diskaya?
Yeah.
Hindi, iba pa
Hindi
yan.
pa, iba pa, ma'am.
So baka hindi
This
yan
is just 1
updated
million.
kasi sabi dito, file na kayo ng case o hindi pa to nagre-reflect niyan?
Yung sa Diskaya cases po kasi still under investigation pa po.
So wala pa dyan?
Wala pa po rito. We haven't
So
filed.
siguro sa next na report nyo, more than one na yan kasi I think we know that there's more out there.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, so yun lang. So let's not spend too much time on that. We can do follow-up questions. Any questions on this one, Chair? Sige, let's move on.
Okay, thank you po. Okay, next page. These are the priority measures on tax reform that we have in the BOC. One is the CARM, so the Computer-Aided Risk Management System. While primary and administrative tool, it plays a vital supporting role in the implementation of tax reform. By using data analytics to identify high-risk taxpayers and improve audit targeting. The purpose of PICAG, of the PCA, is to ensure compliance, detection of fraud and revenue leakages by strengthening post-clearance audit process. So CARMS is a critical tool for achieving this goal. Okay, number two, the issuance of regulations on cross-border e-commerce and implementation of cross-border e-commerce system. So guidelines for de minimis importation and e-commerce shipments were implemented through the issuance of CMO 4-2020. Okay. As part of agency's broader modernization and digitalization efforts to make customs processes more efficient and transparent. Number three, utilization of other digital payment platforms. Tax reforms include improving payment system for a more efficient collection of revenues. In its aim to streamline and expedite clearance and sort and secure payment of lawful duties, taxes, and other charges, BOC continues to expand digital payment platforms. BOC ePay helps to issue orders of payment and access payment platform. This platform, which includes an ePay system and partnerships with banks and payment providers, allows stockholders to pay duties, taxes, and other fees online anytime 24/7. I think that would be all for the BOC.
So for now, let's leave BOC and let's proceed to BIR. Commissioner Lumagi, you have the floor.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Senator Will. For BIR, slides. Slides natin. Wala pa. Yan. Okay. Sige. So we will be, the following items are the discussion items. Next slide, please. First is the, actual revenues versus target revenues. This was earlier discussed by the DOF, so we'll probably dispense with this one. Second is updates on enforcement programs. third is the performance of past tax reforms, which was also discussed by the DOF earlier on. So we'll probably skip this. And then the last one is the priority measures of the current administration on tax reforms, which were not covered by the earlier presentation as well. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Also, skip for the number 2. Next slide. Yes. Okay. For updates on our enforcement programs, we launched the run after fake transactions, and the update on that was we partnered with Ateneo in developing a system to detect fraud using the use of ghost receipts. So we were able to develop that, and it's a system that would track and monitor the use of ghost receipts. We also filed.
These are just interns, like students, develop this?
Yes, the masters in masters in math students.
Ah, wow, okay.
So they had this program algorithm that would detect the use of ghost receipts. And also on August, we filed 23 new cases with the Department of Justice against buyers of these fake receipts. And as of to date, 46 cases are filed with the Department of Justice, 6 against sellers and 40 against buyers. And also as of September 2025, we were able to collect a total of more than 7 billion pesos.
Question. These sellers of fake receipts, is it a particular industry?
No particular industry, Madam
Any,
Chair.
just to show that they delivered a service, they were paid, they sold goods, or any?
Yes, Madam Chair. In fact, a lot, actually, almost all industries are covered. So they cater to all industries. If you need the invoice, then you can buy invoices from them.
Lost to this scam?
Well, as of September, we were able to collect 7 billion. So the amount is significant also.
7 billion na fake. So siningil nyo ngayon ng totoo.
This is already a total collections, Madam Chair. 7 billion pesos in collection.
Okay.
Next slide, please. For our Run After Tax Evaders program, we have a total number of filed cases. Total number of filed cases 415 with an estimated tax liabilities of 26.65 billion pesos, and 22 cases were filed with the Court of Tax Appeals with an estimated tax liabilities of 9.15 billion pesos. And recently we filed the criminal cases against the Discayas and St. Gerard with a total tax liability of 7.1 billion pesos, and also against the 3 former DPWH officials last week with a total tax liabilities of about 1.68 billion pesos. Next slide, please. For our nationwide enforcement operations on illicit trade of excisable articles, as of for this year, January to September 2025, we visited a total number of 2,317 establishments, resulting in an apprehension of 377. Among these is 740 2,000 cigarette packs and also 267,000 ml of vapor products, with total estimated tax liabilities of about 156.7 million pesos. We also filed 75 tax evasion cases against these vape retailers or sellers with a total tax liability of about 711.3 million pesos. These seized articles are now in our warehouses and subject for destruction.
Okay, before you move on, this is my favorite topic. We will stay here for one day. Good job, no, on this. I just wanted to add, no, when I so there are two venues for these retail establishments. Obviously in a mall, and then in side streets, you know, in all the barangays, they have all these. I'm curious, itong mga kaso nyo, would this be with big sellers that literally position, they can afford to be in a mall? Or are these like those small standalone shops dun sa mga barangay?
Lahat po, ano, actually, we started with the establishments na may mga fixed pwesto.
So then these would be those with different branches?
Yes, Madam Chair.
So would you say most of your cases involve companies that have multiple branches or not necessarily then?
Not necessarily rin po.
Okay.
But we started with warehouses, yung mga importers. So talagang yan po yung naging concentration namin, yung mga malalaking warehouses. And then eventually, we moved towards the retailers because hindi mapatigil itong mga nagdadala. So the mindset that we had was, if there are no resellers, then may hirapan din sila and they probably be forced to go legitimate if there will be no resellers. So we hit on all the retailers. So we did a nationwide enforcement starting I think last year. We did that nationwide. So yan po yung mga talagang mga establishments, and then eventually as we moved along with the enforcement activities, dyan na po natin na-discover yung iba't ibang ginagawa po nila. So meron na dyan yung mga mobile na tindahan na rin, imbis na naglalagay ng mga tindahan, yung medyo mga carts, tapos minsan sa gabi lang nandyan, tapos nawawala na. So, minonitor din po namin yan.
Me to know, because given that this is a, how do I classify this? Not a dangerous substance, but harmful product. We could regulate that. We could ban mobile sales of this, because as you know, in some countries, sin products, whether it's alcohol or tobacco, they have to even be in separate establishments. Tapos ngayon may mobile na tayo. Iba talaga yung mga Pilipino. Ngayon lang ako nakarinig na may mobile na ganyan.
Opo, may dumarating po kunyari sa mga bars, sa area ng maraming bars, merong mag-station doon for the night, and then mawawala na in the morning. So nahuli rin po natin yon. And then
Okay. Maybe if I may just recommend, and if you have, then please just do a little bit more. Can you come up with visual communications, both online and inside sa mga barangay, na sinusulat niyong hinuhuli po at kinukulong ang mga nagbebenta ng hindi rehistradong mga vape products, so that matakot din sila. Kasi and I feel like a big part of your success will really be working with LGUs. Because the LGUs have so much on their plate, but if they know na this is a priority, government is losing money, people's health are being harmed, of course they'll cooperate, no? So can I just encourage you to do more coordination with the LGUs? Like, I'd like to drive through a barangay or bike through a barangay and see these posters sana na, and coordinate with DOH. Like, harmful na nga yan, tapos kung hindi pa rehistrado, lalo pang baka makasakit pa sa inyo yan.
we'll do that,
Yeah,
Madam
and then,
Chair.
yung mga siniseize nyo ba, is this coordinated with DTI and FDA? Only because in a separate hearing, which, as I've said, this is my obsession, so I follow this closely. We are not testing the products, no? DTI only tests the gadget, what do you call it? The device. But the formula, that's not your job na, that's them. But I mean, since you're already doing what you're doing, if you can coordinate and give it to FDA, kasi sadly the law was not passed in a manner that I felt it should be. It was not written, it was not passed in the manner it should be. So the jurisdiction is not with FDA, but they can on their own test it if we tell them, test nyo na rin so that we know what's out there. Because what was it in the US? They banned 55,000 flavors because it was harmful. 55,000 flavors. And here we haven't even tested any. The last update I had is pinapadala sa China. Of all countries pa, sa China pa pinadala. So anyway, that's beyond you, but I'm just asking you to, let's have interagency cooperation. Okay?
Yes,
so
Madam Chair.
I'm good. I'll stay calm and we can move on.
Okay. Next is our Oplan Candado. We're able, as of September 2025, we were able to collect 343 million and temporarily closed 22 establishments nationwide. Next slide, please.
Habang nag-iikot na rin kayo, sumbong nyo na rin, kahit, di ba, let's use technology, text nyo lang sa FDA. Kasi I would see signs of these vape establishments, and I actually sent it to the mayor. It said like something like, healthy vape. Healthy vape. I'm like, there's no such thing. But that's the name of the shop. So, nandun na rin naman yung mga, ano mo, inspectors mo, mga ano mo, pagka ganon, padala mo rin sa akin. Ako mismo magpapasara.
We'll do that, Madam Chair. Okay. Next is one of our programs is to broaden the tax base. The number of registered taxpayers has increased by 5.38%, or about 301,000, bringing the total number of business registered taxpayers to 5,903,784. We also visited 311,874 business establishments, resulting in collection of penalties of about 152.9 million pesos. Okay, next slide, please. Performance of tax, again, this was discussed.
Sorry, can you go back to that slide? So when you say you visited 311,000 in business establishments, this is where you on-site determine what kind of violations do you look at here such that you are able to collect penalties amounting to this much? I'm just curious.
We check registration.
So
if
proper registration,
proper
which they have to
registration.
be, diba, it has to be displayed.
Yes,
Tama ba?
Madam Chair. So registration, and then the books of accounts, if they have invoices, the different tax
Kasi some
types.
wala talaga.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, okay.
So,
But do these tend to be the SMSEs? Not really.
well, included mga small enterprises.
Yeah. No, the reason I
We do.
ask is because, syempre, we want to support this SMSE's growth. And I remember I had a MS,
MEs.
MSMEs. We want to support this MSME's growth, and we want them to comply. And I remember having a discussion years ago with a former DTI secretary where there's this, how do you put it, parang window of, the window that we give these small establishments to grow. So hindi naman natin sila pinag-iinitan, parang ganon sa madaling salita. But not to be not to encourage them to be complacent about their legal duty. So ang point ko lang naman is, hindi pa nga siguro yung micro, minsan nga yung mga medium. Basically, my concern is, ayaw din natin yung nahaharas sila. Kasi siguro alam mo na yon, napakaraming reports na ganon, napakarami. So how do you the balance between encouraging these business establishments to comply with their legal duty and ensuring that your BIR, what do you call them? Agents, inspectors, what do you call them? Revenue officers do not abuse their powers kasi ang daming report. Sobrang dami.
Well, first, Madam Chair, what we did, especially for starting this year, when we did the nationwide tax compliance verification drive, we went around without imposing penalties, and we educated
Okay, good.
all of them.
Okay.
So that was the program, because it's really more on taxpayer awareness and information drive.
Okay.
So that when
That's
we
good.
saw violations,
That's good.
then we just pointed out these violations and informed them that they had to correct them. And so that's what we did. We were very lenient with the taxpayers, and then eventually, if they still don't comply, then of course we had to impose the penalties already. That's what we did also with influencers and social media influencers and online sellers. We educated them. We coordinated with the different associations to inform them of their duties and obligations and how to register and how to go about it. That they have, because we understand that a lot of them really don't understand. Yung minsan nag-social media lang, kumita na, and they didn't know that they have to register. That's why we started with aggressive information campaign first. And then eventually, yun nga po, kapag ka hindi na talaga, of course, parang nakikita natin na baka kinakailangan na talagang mag-impose ng penalties. But that's what we did, and we would continue this project na mas magiging aggressive po tayo sa pag-educate po ng mga taxpayers.
action, no? We'll discuss further yung I can't even say perceived abuse kasi marami talaga. So hindi na siya perceived, no? Yung ramdam lang ng tao na masyadong mabigat. But I hear what you're saying. We'll discuss that issue another time. Thank you. Let's move on.
Thank you. So next slide. Again, performance of past tax reforms were, well, this was already discussed earlier on. Next slide, please. We move on to the priority measures. Again. There. For our proposed priority tax legislative measures, first is we propose the enactment of the legislation that fully adopts the automatic exchange of information framework as outlined in the OECD Common Reporting Standard. This will enable the BIR to collect and securely exchange financial account information with partner jurisdictions, promoting transparency and curbing tax evasion. Second, the global minimum tax was earlier discussed. So number 3 is the country-by-country reporting. We recommend this for large MNEs operating in the Philippines. And the BIR will use this information to conduct high-level transfer pricing and BEPS risk assessments and will exchange it with relevant tax authorities pursuant to our international commitments. Number 4 is the exemption of BIR from the salary standardization law to strengthen the BIR's human resource capabilities. This is justified because of the lower pay of BIR employees compared with those in similar roles in other government agencies and the highly technical nature of the tax administration, and considering BIR's critical contribution to the national government's tax revenues. Fifth is the authority of the Commissioner to suspend business operations for excise tax violations. We recommend this because to grant the Commissioner the authority to temporarily suspend or close the establishments found in violation of the excise tax provisions of the tax code. This includes illicit trade in excisable articles such as tobacco, heated tobacco, and vapor products. The proposed provision is modeled after the current authority in connection with value-added tax violations. This will serve also as an effective deterrent against tax evasion and non-compliance involving excise taxes. And last is the transfer and expansion of Section 115 under the sections and 2, Section 6 of the tax code. This will clearly establish that the authority to suspend or close business operations apply not only to VAT-registered taxpayers but also to any person committing certain violations and not just limited to value-added tax violations. This, of course, this clarification will strengthen our administrative enforcement and ensure consistency in the application across all types of taxpayers. That is all for BIR. Thank you.
Do you actually have, I don't know, I'll have to check with my team if there are bills already filed within each of those areas that you want, or are you drafting those bills? So just we know how to proceed.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
for the automatic exchange of information that was part of the Passive Income Financial Intermediary Taxation Act, which was filed previous Congress, may automatic exchange of information done. For the country-by-country report, it will be included in the domestic top-up tax. It's actually a prerequisite so that you can implement the domestic top-up tax law.
Okay. Okay.
For the others, such as
All the bills and what the status is for each. You're drafting, you like the bill of filed by a certain senator, or because we can have simultaneous hearings with the House, but if you prefer a bill, just give us a status so we know how to proceed.
will do, Madam Chair.
Okay. Then let me call now on, let me ask. Sherwin, gusto mo magtanong dito sa BIR? You can.
Yeah, sige.
Yeah. Please proceed.
balikan ko lang yung issue, ito very close to the heart of our chairperson also, yung illicit trade on cigarettes.
CR sana ako eh, napaupo tuloy ako ulit.
Sorry ma'am. Ito napag-usapan na and in fact, we conducted 3 hearings last time on illicit trade on cigarettes. And si Yusek Carlo was also there. We estimated from 2019 to 2024, ang nawala sa atin because of illicit trade is about 210 billion. Now, we also projected if the current rate of illicit trade will still continue in our country, from 2025 to 2028, we will stand to lose about 240 billion. Estimate to, so we're very open to drill down on the numbers. But in ano ang ating for you sa Carlo, what are we sent, I remember sending DOF a memo, no? That we called from that hearing. Tatlong hearing tayo. Magpadala kami ng list of solutions, one of which is, of course, improving the conviction in our case. Kasi isa sa mga nakita natin, maraming nga na-file na cases ang BOC and BIR insofar as illicit trade of tobacco is concerned, pero ang ating conviction rate mababa. No? For example, for the BIR, they filed 31 cases related to illicit trade, pero isa lang ang napanalo. And then for BOC is 69 cases ang na-file nila, 5 lang ang napanalo. So yung number of cases, number of seizures, walang problema ang nangyayari. Wala naman tayo napapanalo sa cases natin. And one of the things that kailangan ma-improve in certainty or at least naman tumaas yung batting average natin sa conviction, or else itong mga smugglers, alam nila na mahuhuli nga sila pero hindi naman sila makukulong. Naka-factor in na doon sa cost nila yung paghuli. No? Especially sa cigarettes. Ang manufacturing cost nila is only 20 pesos but ang selling price ng illicit cigarettes is 140 pesos. No, 120 pesos. So almost 5-6 times. So mahuli man 2 shipment, 3 shipment, panalo pa rin sila. No? So, and this is actually for me the biggest threat in our revenue generation activity, yung excise tax on tobacco. Madam Chairperson, because ang nakikita natin ngayon, bumababa yung collection natin on excise tax on tobacco, pero tumataas naman yung smoking prevalence sa mga constituents natin, especially sa mga bata. No? So double whammy tayo, bumababa yung collection, tumataas yung smoking prevalence natin. And ito yung ginagamit ngayon ng mga tobacco companies as a reason to lower down our sin tax rates, no? Which I think is not the solution, because the solution is to convict, no? To put people in jail. No? So may I ask the
And
BIR?
before you answer lang,
and
I'll
DOF.
just add, over my dead body, nabababa yung sin tax, okay? So para clear tayong lahat dyan. Thank you. Go ahead, please answer candidly. Sinasabi ko lang yung position ko.
So, kasi yan ang nagiging reason, Madam Chair, diba? So that's why...
You're just stating a fact.
Correct,
You are
correct.
stating a fact.
Yeah, so that's why we need to approach this with different mechanisms, especially aggressive mechanisms.
I did just read a news article that quoted Commissioner Lumagi about this, na nag-improve ang inyong collection because of your efforts. But anyway, you're here, so I don't have to rely on that news report. You can respond on your own.
Yes, Madam Chair. Well, just as an update, I think the figures presented previously is not updated. The collections specifically for cigarettes actually increased from 2024 to 2025 because of our aggressive enforcement activities. The collections from cigarettes, excise tax collection in the year 2024 was about 83.8 billion pesos. And for that's the same period, January to September of 2024 compared with January to September of 2025. Now we have 103.3 billion pesos. So that's an increase of about more than or of about 20 billion pesos in collection. And actually, even the removals, there's an increase for January to September of 2024 and 2025 from 1.3 billion packs of cigarettes to more than 1.5 packs of cigarettes. I think also because I think the surveys that say that smoking incidents increase, I think there should be clarification on what this actually means, as I've been saying, because I can't remember which study. I saw a study that the smoking of cigarettes actually decreased, but the smoking incidents increased. So that means that when we talk about smoking, the survey should be clarified on, because I think there was already a clarification with respect to the definition of smoking. This includes vapor products. So when we talk about smoking, the smoking of cigarettes actually, I think, went down, but the total number of smokers, including vape products, increased. So that's where the difference lies. But with respect to excise tax performance on cigarettes, we've actually improved our collections.
Let me just add to this discussion, no? This is very important. During those hearings that Senator Sherwin very patiently conducted, he's known for his long and numerous hearings. Very detailed, and that goes on record forever. Obviously, the tobacco companies, the vape companies, were lobbying for a sin tax reduction, no? But as Commissioner said, rightly so, I totally agree with you, but I want to give the numbers on record, because these are the numbers that I follow, and these are the numbers that we have. If you look at the prevalence of smoking among adults, and we now have to distinguish from cigarettes and e-cigarettes. Pag sinabi bang e-cigarettes, kasama na si vapes doon. So lahat ng HTTPs, no? HTPs, okay. So in 2015, let's start 10 years ago, 91% were smoking manufactured cigarettes, and 0.2, so not even 1% were smoking e-cigarettes in 2015, because we barely even heard of it at that time. And then move forward, 2018, it became 92% versus 0.6, less than 1 pa rin. 2021, 84% manufactured cigarettes and 1% e-cigarettes. So still low on the e-cigarettes, but declining ang cigarette smoking. But by 2023, 87% smoking cigarettes and almost 9% e-cigarettes. So that is the trend that was already predicted, that I repeatedly pointed out, that the shift globally is from cigarettes as we know it, manufactured cigarettes, to vapes, because the campaign of the vape companies, and the big ones are also owned by the tobacco companies, to be clear, so you all know this, sila din yan, they are shifting it to vaping, and they are promoting it as a healthier form of a safer and healthier, healthy vape nga yung pangalan ng store, di ba? A safer, and it's not true. But anyway, I won't go there. My point is, wag na tayong magulat, kasi yan nga yung campaign nila na mag-shift. So when they now cry, when they come to us and cry and say na, oh, down na ang cigarettes, down ang cigarette smoking, yes, you should expect na bababa din yung collection nyo, which hindi naman bumaba now for this year, no? Bababa, if we are successful, and I have always emphasized, when we impose, and I was the chairman when we imposed the vape tax, not the cigarette tax, the last one, but the previous one, I was a co-sponsor of that measure. When we imposed these sin taxes, we do want the consumption to go down. So, but this is a monologue that I always have with the health advocates. So now I get to say it in front of the finance people, and it is expected. We are successful if the cigarette consumption goes down. So then we have to be creative on how to bring more revenues for government, diba? But that is the goal. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na, it's down, we're not doing our job. No, that was the job. That we have a successful campaign which includes sin tax so that the consumption of regular cigarettes go down. And supposedly, the consumption of e-cigarettes should also go down if we are successful on the health aspect. Because that is the goal. Hindi naman natin gustong na from addicts, from cigarette addicts, we now have vape and heated tobacco product addicts. We don't want that. Of course, in terms of collection, nakakatulong sa atin yun, but that should not be the goal. So, I'll just wrap this up by pointing out adolescents because they are the most vulnerable. Yung kanina na sinabi kong figures, those were adults. For the adolescents, in 2015, almost similar to the adults, 88.4% ang cigarette smoking, and then less than 1% yung e-cigarettes. I'll just jump to 2023. 65% na lang ang nagsusmoke ng cigarettes, which is still terrible. These are adolescents, okay? Adolescents. And e-cigarette jumped to 39%. So, one last point, because I am always happy to share my thoughts with non-health advocates kasi I'm preaching to the choir pag kami-kami lang. In London, when I was there to study sin tax in Geneva, in WHO, and then I went to London, they did not hesitate to advocate for the use of HTPs and vapes because the smoking prevalence in the youth was basically zero. They had already come to a situation where yung mga kabataan hindi na naninigarilyo. So, kaya nila pinayagan na ma-promote yung use of vapes kasi this will help daw the adults who are addicted to cigarette smoking to stop. O, hanapin niyo kung ano nangyari ngayon. Yung nangyari ngayon, yung sinabi din ng ibang health advocates, na ngayon, meron na silang generation of kids addicted to vape. Natigil na nila yung generation na wag manigarilyo, puro vape naman ngayon. So that is what happened when they took that approach na, sige nga, tingnan natin kung magiging cessation device to. Anyway, I need you to understand that because if it affects your collection, then let's be creative and I'm happy to work with you on that. I'm happy your collection is good, but it may dip in the way that when you had your hearings, it was down, and now your efforts are generating a good ano for you. So, yun lang ang monologue ko for now.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to hear na tumaas yung revenue kasi yun yung when we conducted that hearing, I think late last year, no? Yeah, late last year. So the trend was going down. So I'm happy to hear that with enforcement and also with, I guess, aggressive enforcement, nag-reverse yung trend. One of the things rin, Madam Chair, that we need to plug yung difference between the heated tobacco products and nicotine salt. I think that is also based on our analysis, that's also one of the reasons kung bakit maraming mga bata o new smokers na galing sa bata. Kasi mas mura yung freebase, no? Yung freebase versus nicotine salt. So maraming bata pumapasok ngayon sa freebase dahil mas mura siya compared to nicotine salt. So one of the things that we need to do is to raise the taxes of freebase para magpantay lang siya sa nicotine salt. In entry level ngayon, magiging mas mahal para sa mga bata. No? So that's one of the reforms that we are proposing. But on top of that, Yusek, kailangan pa rin tuloy-tuloy yung ating enforcement.
Mr. Chairman, share ko lang sa inyong lahat kasi I don't think any of them, maybe yung ibang staff nandun. When we were that was 2019 in the BICAM, pareho yung rate na yan, pareho yan. Tapos sila naglaglagan. Yung may labi nung isa, binabaan niya, iniwan niya yung isa. Yun. Eh, syempre ako naman, I cannot advocate na bumaba. Gusto ko parehong mataas. Yun, naglagan yan, sila yan. The enemy of your enemy is your friend. So ako ang enemy nilang lahat. Pero nung yun na, naglaglagan na sila. Yun, kaya ganyan yung rate na yan. I just need to put it on record because just like a law student and you, an economist, you read it and you're like, why is this like this? That's the story. So I need to put that on record, kaya gano'n kasi ba magtaka ka? Kasi ako yung chairman nun eh. Bakit ako papayag na mas mababa yung isa? So I was asking my staff, ito ba yung kwento na naglaglagan? Yun, yung naglaglagan sila.
Naging kasi ngayon ginagamit I think the intention is to magkaroon ng differentiation, pero nagamit for technical smuggling eh. Walang
No, the
nagde-declare
intention
ngayon.
was, the one group, ayaw nila na mataas yung kanila, so nilabi nila na mababa yung kanila, iniwan nila na mas mataas yung isa.
Yeah.
Parang ganon.
Yun. So yun ang naging entry level ngayon.
Yeah, which is sad.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah.
want that.
Correct. So to DOF, ano pa yung mga ginagawa natin to continue maganda yung trend as reported by Commissioner Lumagi. Pero kailangan tuloy-tuloy ito, sustain eh. Dahil kung hindi natin sustain to, babalik ulit itong mga illicit trade. And illicit trade it can erode our revenue and can also increase the smoking prevalence, especially sa mga bata. No?
Madam Chair, just to provide more numbers. As mentioned earlier by BIR, so from January to September, total collection for cigarettes is already at 123 billion. Last year, same period, January to September, was only around 100 billion. Total collection for last year, 2024, was only at 134 billion. So January to September, 123 billion na tayo. So we will hit more than the 134 billion last year. Now, to provide further context, as mentioned by Madam Chair, for the vapor products in 2022, the volume of removals in milliliters is only 3.2 million. But in 2025, today, as of September, it's already 231 million. So from 3.2 million, naging 231 million. And that is because we implemented itong stamp taxes last year, June 2024. So in terms of collection, in 2022, vapor products was only at 138 million. Today, as of September, it's already almost at 2.1 billion. So great jump because of that implementation and the admin enforcement of the BIR. Now, with regards to cigarettes, both for locally manufactured and imported, as mentioned already by Madam Chair, in terms of removals noong 2022, it was almost at 2.9 billion packs. In 2024, it went down to 2.1 billion. So you can see really the shift from the traditional to the vapor. And as mentioned by Senwin, another problem that we need to solve right now is the difference in the rate between salt nic and the freebase, wherein salt nic is taxed at higher rate, significantly higher rate than the freebase. And if you take a look at the composition of the collections of the BIR, mostly are coming from the freebase, which is almost at 6 pesos per ml, right? Per ml. Kasi 60 pesos
Walang
per 10
nagde-declare
ml.
ng nicotine salt.
Maliit lang.
Because if you look at I think I showed that during the pag nakita nyo yung product, you cannot distinguish which one is nicotine salt, which one is freebase. Eh. So when they import, obviously, di-declare nila yung freebase kasi mas mura siya by 10 times.
And Madam Chair, to be frank, BIR also does not have the capacity to test if it's actually freebase or salt nic. So yun pa po yung isa naming problema. So we need to have some recommendation as well. How do we solve this problem about salt nic and freebase? Now, what is the Department of Finance doing right now? As mentioned earlier, we have requested IMF and World Bank to provide an excise tax gap for us. Kasi right now, although there are some estimates, we would like to have yung multilateral institution to have a formal study how much ba talaga yung excise tax gap per commodity in particular. So that's what we're doing right now. And then we're studying, as Senwin, yung difference between the salt nic and the freebase. Kasi right now, it's hard to implement and hard to determine, especially for the BIR, if it's really freebase or salt nic.
Sabit na lang an update on the recommendations that we gave. I think we gave both the DOF and the BIR. Those are from the hearings that we conducted So we sent our own, this is the committee's findings and recommendation. Pasubmit na lang kung ano yung mga updates on those. But I'm very happy to hear that nag-reverse yung collection. At least we're seeing very positive impact on enforcement as well as monitoring. Nababasa ko rin maraming nahuhuli. But then again, itong lagay natin parati sa isip natin, the price difference is almost 5 to 6 times. So meaning, mahuli isa, dalawa, tatlong shipment, panalo pa rin sila dahil sa taas ng margin. No? So it's important now to continue the enforcement all the way to conviction. Parang yung certainty in conviction, that's the only way they will stop the smuggling. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, and we will provide an update. We'll submit.
How about sugar sweetened beverages? Do you have an update on that?
For sugar sweetened beverages, from January to August this year, meron kayong September? Madam Chair, we'll just get the numbers as of September. For sweetened, for SSBs, from January to September this year, total collection is at 27.6 billion. Compare that to last year, same period as until September 2024, it's at 28.7 billion. So there's a slight decline in the collection of sweetened sugar beverages.
Are there any discussions that you're having with the Nutrition Council or DOH on other taxing other unhealthy products? Just out of curiosity.
Madam Chair, I think it was mentioned in the budget hearing of the DOH in the lower house that one of their priority measure are the SSB and I think junk food, if I'm not mistaken, junk food tax was salty food.
Siguro may nagtanong kasi sa amin di nabanggit yan it's an area of interest I have, so I think I would have remembered if they told me. Okay.
And
that's-
we're closely coordinating with them, Madam Chair, on that. We have been communicating with them for several months na po.
Okay, sige, I'll
Kasi
also
we
reach out to
recognize
them.
that it's a health measure
Exactly.
first rather than a revenue
Exactly.
measure.
But in the same way that you are, I would say, successful with the taxation of the sweetened beverages, siguro pwede din yan kasi bata pa lang nasasanay na dun sa, in the same way na nasasanay sa sweetened beverage, nasasanay din dun sa very salty snacks.
Yes, Madam Chair, we can provide you a briefer on the current situation for
Sige.
the SSB and the junk
Sige.
food.
And if you have global studies on how it's being handled also.
Yes, Madam Chair, we'll share po.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Sige, let's go now to thank you for that. Obviously, I have so many questions pa, but this is really just meant to, we're going to in our budget. I'm very impressed with our chairman that he's so involved here, but he's sponsoring the budget later on. So, and I'm also a co-sponsor. So this is really just meant to get the ball rolling. So we have this initial hearing. I'll call on DOTR, Mr. Arca Jr., please, sir.
Good afternoon po, Senator Kia. For the part of the Department of Transportation, ma'am, we haven't submitted yet our report, but this issue is already being raised to our sectoral offices and discussed with our primaries po. And then we will provide the report po, we will revert po accordingly.
The report.
None for our part po.
Ha?
None po, ma'am.
Bakit naman ganun? Ba't wala kayo i-report?
Ma'am, we have, I have right now, ma'am po, the thing that I have is for the report of our revenue based on our BP 100 lang po.
Sige, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I have the 2024 figures.
I kind of misunderstood. What did you mean by this issue something. So what issue ba? We're just, whatever you have, yeah, I don't know if there's some
Ma'am,
miscommunication.
the reports, I thought we were expected to provide the same reports provided. But I only have right now, ma'am, the revenue report for the Department of Transportation Central Office.
Yung ni-request namin is data on your revenue-generating programs such as licensing and permits, and any input you can give us to ensure registration is tied to compliance with customs and tax requirements.
Sorry po, Senator Pia. For that concern po, may I ask your permission po to refer the concern to our colleague from the LTO?
Okay.
Attorney po.
Okay, sure.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Attorney Greg Pua po from Executive Director of LTO. Unfortunately, Madam Chair, we were not able to prepare a report, but I have here with me our actual revenue collected for 2025 compared to revenue in 2024. So our target revenue for 2025, Madam Chair, submitted to the DBM is 34,295,415,000 pesos. As of October 31, Madam Chair, we were able to collect 28,265,639,743 pesos. We are short of 18% of our target revenue, Madam Chair. Our challenge for us now is for November, for the remaining month of the year, November and December, there's no registration because ang registration po natin hanggang October lang siya, 0. So, yes, well, we're trying to, meron po mga unregistered, huli, and then new vehicles. Ang in-expect po natin, because of December, mag-i-increase yung new vehicles. New vehicles, in fact, data shows na January to September 2024 versus January to September 2025, nag-increase po ng 20% ang bagong sasakyan.
The reason, do you know why you're short?
There are several reasons, Madam Chair. Number one, marami po tayong cancellation ng mga pasok because of flood, yung mga earthquakes. Tapos, pangalawa po, ang majority reason here, Madam Chair, is the 10 years driver's license.
Meaning, so nafa-front load yung license, yung pag-register nila kasi 10 years? What you mean?
Kasi po, ginawa po natin na 10 years yung driver's license natin noong 2019 pursuant to a law. So, lahat po karamihan po ng mga existing noong time na yon, nabigyan na po sila ng license hanggang 2030, 2031, 2032.
Every 10 years may bugso yun, parang gano'n.
Yes po, Madam Chair. Kaya tapos yung since the passage of that law, naging 5 taon po ang lisensya. Dati po kasi 'di ba 3 years lang. Every 3 years nagre-renew. Ngayon po 5 years tapos susunod 10 years. Nakita po namin yung drop. Nagkaroon po ng drop since for 2025 po, 68% drop po ang driver's license. If I may get the
For that reason? Or did after 2019 law, every year after the law was passed, consistent yung drop nun kasi you only have new driver's license applicants that are registering, di ba? Applying.
Yes, Madam Chair, meron pa rin po kasi ng 2019. So 3 years, meron pa silang 3 years, so 19, 20, 21, 22. So ngayon po ngayon siya nararamdaman. In fact, last year po naramdaman namin siya, pero hindi ganoon kataas yung drop. Ngayon po, sobrang laki po nung drop. If I may just check the records, Madam Chair. For January to September 2024, Madam Chair, ang driver's license renewal po ay 3.2 million. Pero for January to September 2025, 1.2 lang po yung driver's license renewal. Kasi ibig sabihin po, karamihan po ng mga license, 5 taon na po yan or 10 taon na po. So we expect po by next year, tataas. And especially by 2030, 2031, 32, dun po yung bugso nung karamihan ng renewal, Madam Chair.
Maybe you can submit in writing so that we have more time to study it, no? And then in the next hearing, or if may clarification lang yung team ko, they'll just ask you to a meeting.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay? Next, I'll call on National Tax Research Center isa lang ba to? Okay. National Tax Research Center, under yan, di ba? The Fiscal Incentives Review Board. Attorney Mark Lester Aure.
Good morning, Madam. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. So, the NTRC po is the Secretariat of the FIRB. Okay. Madam Chair, as of July 2025, the investment capitals approved with tax incentives amounted to 1.7 trillion. So this includes the applications under CREATE Act and CREATE More. While the total committed employment is 266,895. Per investment promotion agencies, the BOI approved the highest number of projects with 600. The PESA approved the highest number of projects with 678, amounting to 209 billion. However, the BOI with 669 projects has the highest investment capital of 1 trillion and 173 billion. For the market orientation, Madam Chair, the most number domestic market enterprises composed of are around 528, while export market enterprises is around 855. And for the remaining supplemental guidelines, Madam Chair, I would like to report that we are finalizing the enhanced deduction guidelines. This will be the guidelines of the registered business enterprise availing of the enhanced deductions. And we are also in the finalizing stage of the joint memorandum order to implement the RBE local tax. That's it.
Can you give us something in writing, no, so we can digest the information you're giving us?
Yeah.
But I guess I might just have one or two questions. When was Create More passed? 2023?
2024, November 2024.
So like a year.
Yes.
So what impact has it made?
Since the passage of the Create More Act, the FIRB already approved 3 projects with a total investment capital of 192 billion. And last
What's the profile of these projects? I mean, you don't have to tell me which one you can, but you don't have to. But I mean, are they the ones that are at the highest level, or
yes, Madam Chair. One is a local manufacturer of a beverage.
Okay.
Another one is a PPP. And the one is endorsed for approval of the President. It is for presidential approval. It has a committed investment capital of 50.65 billion.
Okay. Before we pass create more, under create, how many projects were you able to approve?
Before create more, Madam Chair, the number of approved projects is 1,441 with 1,457 billion in investment capital. Under create more, the total projects approved as of July 2025 is 319 with 282.04 billion in investment capital.
Sorry, can you just repeat that?
And for approved projects under create, it's 1,441 with investment capital of 1,457. Under create more, the total number of approved projects is 319 with investment capital of 282.04 billion. Madam Chair, for the record, this excludes the two projects approved by the FIRB. We'll just complete the data, Madam Chair, and submit.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm ready to wrap up for today, no? But I just want to post a few things more for DOF. This would be more of obviously your job is generating revenue, no? But we also have exemptions when they're worthy. And I want to ask you if you have discussed, that's why I remember one of my first questions to you, Yusek Carlo, earlier was, do you have any studies that show how the benefit of the, what was that issue that I asked? Kung may study siya on the reduced, what was the topic? Cost benefit, but what was the product? On the EVs. Yeah, EVs. On the EVs, no? So for this, so very similarly, all over the world, there's now a surging interest in health and wellness as the lifestyle of young adults, which is great, because instead of indulging in sin products or in lifestyles that could be potentially not necessarily good for them. It's very good to socialize, but if this involves a lot of heavy drinking, a lot of alcohol, a lot of smoking, then obviously it's not good for the health. But there's a big surge now in parties being non-alcoholic, more in other countries. Dito, I haven't seen it so much, but in other countries, non-alcoholic beverages, then they're partying in the afternoon and ending earlier so that they can no meron talaga, papadala ko sa'yo, in ka na they end like at 9 p.m. so that they can sleep early and run early in the morning. And even now there's a surge in bigger interest, resurgence in running all over. So I do want you to explore, so how do we encourage this behavior? One way you encourage discourage is through the power of taxation. Alam na natin yan. So is that something that we could actually wrap our heads around and really consider. So one would be medical equipment. I actually have a bill that's been filed for the longest time. It directly affects the cost of healthcare in the country. Let's take a look at that sana. But also really sports and health and wellness, equipment and businesses. Like I really wanted, and I don't know if I've ever told her, but I wanted to ask my sister-in-law, but Senator Sherwin and I always have these common interests in LGUs, no? Baka gustong pangunahan ng Taguig at ng Valenzuela, so baka ma-shock yung sister-in-law ko, ma-shock yung kapatid mo, na yung proposal ko, pwede ba ng health and wellness related business, babaan mo na yung mayor's permit dyan. I mean, because it directly contributes. The cost and benefit there is like immense, you know. Somebody who spends a certain amount on their health and wellness will definitely spend less in healthcare, if not presently, down the road. So yun lang. And then sino ba nagbabayad nun? Well, for those who can afford private hospitals, di sila magbayad. But for the most, lahat tayo, PhilHealth pays a part of it. And then for others, they go 100% to public hospitals, and even now the private hospitals. The goal eventually is, well, wag naman. Hindi ko pa kayang sabihin if kakayanin ng zero balance billing in private. But in the public, that is the mandate already, na zero balance billing. So can you imagine if you can cut the number of patients there by 20%, by 50%, because they got involved in sports and healthy activities. Yun lang. I don't even know kasi if the income that the revenue that they generate for you is that significant. You know, so like how many gyms are there? They're not thousands. Mas marami pang vape shop kesa sa gym. That's for sure. So, kung bibigyan na lang natin ng tax break itong mga vape shops, erase. Kung bibigyan natin ng tax break ang mga gyms and other health spaces, baka ang laking factor noon, di ba? So, yun lang naman.
Madam Chair, may I comment?
Of course.
Yes, one of the main mandates of the DOF is to generate revenue, but at the same time, when we propose any fiscal policy or revenue policy, it's always based on fairness and simplicity. So, for instance, if we're going to propose some exemption, we need to determine the distributional impact. Will it benefit the marginalized sector the most compared to the more wealthy, which do not need this type of exemptions? So we always base our recommendation on those fairness and simplicity. Now, I would also like to note that yes, maybe a tax break can incentivize certain behavior, particularly good behavior, but I think it's more efficient on the part of the government to do it through spending. So one way to do it is revenue, which may have distributional impact wherein the more wealthy will actually benefit more because of those exemptions. Kasi hindi siya targeted eh. It's exempted for everyone. But I think the more efficient way to do it is targeted through disbursement or expenditure, such that you will only provide certain benefits to marginalized sector para targeted talaga yung beneficiaries. So that's one way we look at it as well in the Department of Finance. Kasi when we provide exemption, it's for everyone, whether it's wealthy or poor. But most of the time, wealthy ang nakikinabang. Kasi sila yung largest consumers most of the time. So yun po. But again, we agree with you that we're not about revenue generating, but we're also about fairness and simplicity. If the proposal is fair, we'll definitely consider it.
So on that note, the quick win, I think, would be medical equipment that caters to all, right? Medical equipment that caters to all. Kasi lahat yun natatax eh, di ba? So we can always ask our health experts to determine what are these. You can come up with a list of these medical equipment that will help everyone, no? That one. As to health and wellness activities and businesses, pag-isipan ko pa yan. Di na ako mag-a-attend ng budget kasi pag-iisipan ko to. But thank you for that feedback. It's well taken, and it will give me, that's why I thought of asking you now, so we're not wasting time, you know, me coming up with something that there's a better way to address the issue. Thank you. So unless somebody is dying to say more, we can end this hearing. Of course, Chairman. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up, but just giving everybody a last chance to say something.
Just a last note, Madam Chair, and pag-usapan namin to kahapon, Madam Chair, in our meeting, and some of the senators may concern Commissioner Lumagi doon sa letter of authority. I don't know if you remember, Madam Chair, na pag-usapan natin to kahapon in our meeting with the senators, na some of the foreign investors na nandito na, no, sa Philippines, nag-ooperate na sila, tumatakbo na yung negosyo nila, pero may mga reports itong mga foreign companies to their ambassadors and in turn the ambassadors to us na yung mga letter of authority na weaponize, no, at nagagamit to pressure or even harass some of the existing investors, no. So hindi ko naman linalahat, and I know we have to balance also the regulatory powers of government as well as the interests of our taxpayers. Pero may mga ganyan na reports na umaabot sa amin, sa mga senators, through the different ambassadors, na itong letter of authority ay nagagamit para to harass or even to coerce some of our investors here in the Philippines. And yan naman ang aking isa sa mga madalas sinasabi na itong mga investors natin na sa Pilipinas na dapat maalagaan natin, Yusek Carlo, kasi nandito na sila eh, no? And if we want to attract other foreign investors to come to the Philippines, dapat yung mga existing sa atin, maganda yung experience nila. Dahil sila yung magiging ambassadors natin sa pag-i-
to remind our colleagues in the BIR na may mga ganito pa rin umaabot sa amin.
Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, for that, actually, marami rin po tayong ginawang mechanism para malaman po natin yan. Ano. So, in fact, a lot of those concerns, personally, I handled. And to be honest, nakita po natin na talagang walang harassment na nangyari po. In fairness sa BIR, nagiging strict kasi when we serve letters of authority, together with the letter of authority sa checklist of requirements, ang nangyayari po kasi hindi sila nagsasubmit ng mga documents. That's why we will have a table assessment based on what we know, based on what we can see. And since they did not submit documents at first instance, kaya po nagiging ganyan ang assessment. So, based dun sa mga nagreklamo and nakausap ko po talaga personally, pinatawag po natin yan, hinarap po natin ano ang nangyari, then eventually they realized. In fact, there was also one ambassador who approached me in one event, informed me of, they said that may sinabi na rin po na bloated assessment. When I asked him, did you ask the taxpayer, the company, if they submitted documents together with the LOA? He readily replied that hindi pa nagsasubmit ng documents. So, yan po yung nagiging explanation po niya. Ano? Ang nakakalungkot lang paminsan ay kinakategorize agad na harassment when in fact all that they have to do is submit their documents in support of their position na ano. Kasi lahat po naman nung mga nagreklamo na yun naayos dahil nga eventually they realized that we really have to look at all of these documents, especially meron pang isang taxpayer po dyan na nag-allot lang siya ng expenses sa ano nila, sa buong ano nila expenses for the Philippines, pero hindi nila binigay yung what were actually spent here in the Philippines. So ibig sabihin nun, ang laki ng nilagay nilang kunyari pero hindi naman daw totoo. It's just for internal control. Pero nasa global financial statements po nila yung figure na yun. So ibig sabihin nun, kailangan natin malaman kung dito ba sa Pilipinas ginastos yun o hindi because of their obligation to withhold taxes if the suppliers are companies or based here in the Philippines. Pero hindi po nila ginawa. At nung na-explain naman na hindi, kailangan nyo lang ipakita because you yourself admitted that you allocated these expenses to the Philippine operations. Pero kayo nagsasabi na ngayon na hindi pala totoong sa Pilipinas ginastos yan. Pero malinaw sa financial statements ninyo na nandyan yan. So everything, all of the findings, yung mga simula po na yan, ay makikita po natin sa financial statements na nasubmit na po nila. All they have to do is submit supporting documents because there are inconsistencies in the financial statements as it is without the supporting documents. Kaya naman lahat ng nagreklamo, lahat ng mga nagsabi po na ganyan, naayos because of their subsequent submission of documents.
Commissioner, I admire that you handle this personally, lalo na yung mga foreign companies, no? Kasi tayo mga Pinoy sanay na tayo sa mga ganyan eh. No, pero yung mga foreign companies iba eh, no? Pag may ganitong dumadating sa kanila, iba yung kanilang siyempre hindi naman sila taga dito, wala naman silang mga kaibigan or connections. So iba, no? And I admire that you handle this personally. Wala akong detalye ngayon, no? I cannot drill down and pinpoint which company or ano kasi ito lang yung actually in our conversation lang among ourselves. And tama-tama nga si Chairperson Pia mayroong ganitong hearing. So I just want to put that on the table para makita nyo rin. No? Kung mayroong mang ganyan, then i-address natin. Kung wala naman, I think we just have to intensify the information campaign, maybe with the foreign chambers. Itong mga foreign chambers, very active naman sila at organized. Baka intensify nyo na rin yung inyong information campaign sa kanila para alam nila kung anong gagawin at meron silang direct link sa'yo mismo and to your agency. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
And then dagdag ko din kasi in our discussion, all of us also chimed in that it's also a concern of the Filipinos, 'di ba? Iba din yung alaga natin dito sa foreigners kasi they can always leave. Yung mga Pilipino naman, they're stuck with us. So we just want to give them a safer, fairer playing field kasi they're the backbone of our economy, 'di ba? So let's just do more efforts on that. But maybe we can just have not necessarily a hearing, just a dialogue tayo where we can share actual examples after the budget. Because that was also the request of some of the groups that my staff met with na more dialogues lang sana. Yun literally ang hiningi. And they specifically mentioned na this particular group had dialogues na with customs and they'd like to have dialogues then with you. Banggitin ko na lang sa'yo mamaya kung sino yung grupo na yon. So I'm sure may iba pa. Okay, so Commissioner, any added words? Okay, and like I said, no, this is just the beginning, so at least we got the ball rolling. Just to summarize a couple of things, on the issue of illicit trade, clearly the improved revenue collection of the BIR from cigarettes and vapor products demonstrate that illicit trade can be effectively addressed through proper enforcement and efficient tax administration. So thank you for the work that you've done. Higher sin tax will not curb illicit trade on its own. Higher sin tax has its own purposes. What drives illicit trade is the lack of consistent enforcement and regulatory oversight, not the tax rates themselves. The challenge before us is to ensure that our revenue system remains equitable, efficient, and responsive to the needs of the Filipino people. Sadly, though, we are in a situation where as we try to help people understand that this is where your tax money goes, you know, schools. We both had chaired the Committee on Education. I still chair the budget of the budget of health, DOH, PhilHealth. We want them to see that, we want them to feel that, but when they hear all these stories about graft and corruption, sadly, sino pa bang hindi mabibwisit? Sino pa bang hindi malilungkot? Sino pa bang gaganahan to pay their tax? Even for many of those sitting here, we are all public employees. We're also paying our taxes. Nakakawalang gana if you know that another agency, not the agency we belong to, but another institution, there are people there. And hindi natin nilalahat kasi we know that there are good people everywhere, but in certain agencies, and I'm sure the heads of these agencies also know na merong mga kailangan na tanggalin na dun sa mga agency nyo. Meron talagang, sabi nga ni Commissioner kanina, ano yung word na ginamit niya? Sindikato. May sindikato talaga. Or tinanong mo ba kung may sindikato at kinonfirm niya? Kinonfirm niya na may sindikato talaga. So, you know, we do this, we take time to look into these issues and we hope that we're able to give the support needed to the leadership na ma-solve nila yung mga problema na ito. We talked about many things. I think I need a few more documents and written report from some of the resource persons here so that we can dive deep. And then the request for legislation, just give us the list and the status of each. What else? Yeah, I think that's it for now. So before I suspend this hearing, as in the previous Congress, the Committee on Ways and Means will simply adopt the pertinent provisions of Rule 10 and 11 of the Rules of the Senate, as well as Resolution Number 5, or the Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation, as the rules of the Committee on Ways and Means, subject to any advisory to be issued regarding the use of electronic signatures. Thank you, Senator Sherwin, for joining me this afternoon, and thank you everyone for being present today. Senator, can you move to adopt the rules?
I move to adopt the rules of procedure for the Ways and Means Committee.
Hearing no objections, hereby adopted. Nakita ko yung pangalan ko. Gusto kong move to. Nakalimutan. Thanks, Senator Gatchalian, for his presence. Kaya tinay ko yung lahat ng tao. Thank you everyone for your presence again. I hope nabusog man lang kayo ng konti. Sa susunod na punta nyo, let's continue to have productive hearings. Hearing is hereby suspended. Thank you. Sabi ko may pati